one quick fix that I wanted to demonstrate that I noticed. This section here, we want to make sure that we're using the proper slashes. So I went ahead and uploaded all my files to the server. And so let me go ahead and show you what that looks like. And in case you're following along and do this as well, make sure that you upload your config file. Make sure that you update this with your own information, and obviously that you update your database to make sure you use an email that you actually have control over. So here we go. I'm going to put in my email address, hit submit. It says password resent successfully. So let's go ahead and check my email. And yes, I did get an email here. It has the correct sender, and this is what the contents looks like. And we have a working link that'll redirect to this page that includes the key. And if you check the database, let me just refresh, you'll notice that we have a password reset field that has now been filled in. And that matches the key within the email. Okay, so now that we know that's working, let's go back to Coda. And I'm going to clear a couple of these files out. There we go. So we have everything working except for this section where where a user enters a new password. So pretty similarly to the last case, I'm going to grab, I guess I need to grab this section, because we obviously want to check if the form is submitted. And if not, we're going to display the form. And then the one exception in this case, there we go. The difference here is that we want to show form number 2, the password reset number 2, because that includes all the fields that we need. Okay, so that's the first portion, and let's go ahead and process the form, and we need to get more information this time. And then we also need to get the key from the URL. We probably should run it through HTML entities as well, just in case. Okay. And then the first step, as usual, is to check input. So we want to make sure if email is blank, or the first password is blank, or if the second password is blank. So I'm just going to do a quick if statement. Actually, it's the easiest way to do this. We can just check the input directly. Okay, so then I'm just going to simply copy and paste this twice. I don't need this. Here we go, and please fill in all required fields, and we show our form. And obviously the second thing that we want to check is to make sure that the email is valid. And that's all good, just need to make sure we do form number 2. Okay. Otherwise, if all the validation passes, we need to do a little bit of extra checking. And we're actually approaching the end of this series of tutorials. We're getting pretty close to having this wrapped up. So I'm going to create a check variable. And we're going to go ahead and prepare a statement. There we go. And this is going to make sure that the email that the user enters and the key that's in the URL match up properly. We don't want to have users guessing a random key and for some reason magically having a match. It makes it quite a bit harder if they also have to match the email address. So I'm going to go ahead and bind my parameters, and we're binding 2 strings. I don't need this. And the first one is going to be input email, and the second one is going to be our key. Like so. And then we execute. We store the result. And then we also check for values, or check for results, I mean. So if for some reason there's no results, which means there aren't an email and password reset key that match, I'm going to go ahead and display an error. And this error message is slightly tricky because there are a couple possibilities. One, there's a possibility that the user could be trying to do something malicious and is simply figured out that he needs to input a key value in the URL, so he's just trying to guess the key value and match it with a guessed password, or a guessed email, excuse me. However, there's also a chance that perhaps the user clicked this twice. Let's go and I'll show you. For example, let's say he hit submit twice really quickly and he received 2 emails. And you'll notice, if I go back here, that the key value is different every time. So for example, if I tried using this key, but the database had this, because this is most recent, we could have an issue. So what I'm going to go ahead and do here is I'm going to add a message to the user. Let's say, unfortunately, so I'm going to ask them to please double check the email address. That's in case perhaps they just mistyped something. And then I'll ask them to potentially try resetting their password again in case they're still having issues. And just to be convenient, I'll include an actual link here. Okay, and then as usual, we include our form.